Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when everything feels like it's working against you. When the road ahead seems impossible, when the obstacles are too high, and when the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But listen to me, I want you to understand something deep in your soul. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop God's plan for you. You may not see it right now. You might be in the middle of a struggle that feels unshakable. It may feel like you're walking through a storm with no shelter in sight, but remember this, your journey was never meant to be easy. It was meant to test your strength, to build your character, to show you just how powerful your faith can be. When the world tells you to quit, when the people around you doubt your purpose, when your own mind tells you you're not enough, you need to stand firm. The plan God has for you is bigger than any setback. It's bigger than any mistake, any failure, or any challenge. Don't let what you see around you make you forget the promises God has for you. You see, God doesn't need you to be perfect. He needs you to keep moving, keep trusting, keep believing. The path you walk isn't always going to be clear. You might not always understand why things happen the way they do. But you've got to trust the process. You've got to trust that everything you're going through right now is leading you to something greater. You've been through the fire and you've come out stronger. You've been tested, but you've been refined. And the very thing that tried to break you is the thing that's going to fuel you. That's what God's plan does. It takes the impossible and makes it possible. It takes your weakness and turns it into strength. So when you feel like you can't take another step, when you feel like it's all falling apart, you need to look up and remember the hand of God is on your life. And that hand is mighty. It's unstoppable. It's guiding you to the place you were always meant to be. You are not here by accident. You are not here by chance. Your purpose is real. And God's timing is perfect. So keep pushing, keep fighting, keep believing. Nothing can stop God's plan for you. You've got this. God's got you. And together you're unstoppable. Trusting in God's timing is one of the most powerful and profound acts of faith you can engage in. In a world that values instant results, immediate gratification, and quick solutions, it's easy to become impatient or frustrated when things don't unfold as we hope. Yet, God's timing is not bound by human constraints. It's not limited to deadlines or schedules we impose on ourselves. When you're in the midst of waiting, it can be challenging to see beyond your current situation, especially when your plans and prayers seem unanswered. But you need to understand that God's plan for you is far bigger and more intricate than anything you can imagine, and it's all unfolding at exactly the right moment. In life, we're often confronted with moments where we question why things aren't happening as we expect. You may have worked hard for something, prayed for it earnestly, and done everything right, yet the outcome doesn't come when you think it should. This is where trusting in God's timing becomes crucial. It's about believing that there's a bigger picture, even when you can't see the full canvas. It's about accepting that God knows what's best for you and that His timing is perfect, even if it feels slow or uncertain in the moment. Think about the moments in your life when things didn't go according to your plans, but eventually you realized that they turned out even better than you could have imagined. Maybe you didn't get that job you thought was the right one, only to discover a new opportunity that was a much better fit for your talents and goals. Or perhaps a relationship didn't work out, but it led you to a greater understanding of yourself or opened the door for a deeper connection later on. These moments are proof that God's timing was at play, and while you may not have understood it in the moment, the outcome was part of His divine plan. God operates outside of time. He sees your entire life from beginning to end in one view. What may feel like a delay or detour is often His way of preparing you for something greater. Perhaps you're not ready for what you're asking for, or perhaps you need to develop a certain quality or learn a particular lesson before stepping into the next phase of your journey. It's hard to trust during those waiting periods, but in those moments, God is working on you. He is refining your character, building your resilience, and teaching you the value of patience, perseverance, and trust. The key to trusting God's timing is to let go of control. It's about surrendering your need to dictate when and how things should happen and instead choosing to trust that God's plan will come to fruition exactly when it's supposed to. This doesn't mean being passive or complacent, but rather actively living with the understanding that your steps are guided. You continue to move forward, do your part, and take action, but with the assurance that God is orchestrating the rest. There may be seasons in life that feel like waiting rooms where it seems like nothing is happening. But in reality, God is aligning circumstances, relationships, and opportunities to work in your favor. Even when you don't see the results immediately, trust that every step you take is part of the divine plan, moving you closer to what God has in store for you. Trusting in His timing is an act of surrender and faith, knowing that what's ahead is worth the wait. Life is full of obstacles, some expected and others that arrive out of nowhere. When facing these challenges, it can feel as though the entire world is pushing against you, as if there is no way forward. But here's the truth: there is nothing in this world, no circumstance, no person, no failure that can stop God's plan for your life. It doesn't matter how tall the mountain is, how fierce the storm feels, or how overwhelming the pressure becomes. If God has a purpose for you, no force can stand in the way of it. We often get discouraged when things don't go according to our plans. We see setbacks as failures, and we think that because something didn't happen in the way we envisioned, it's all over. But God doesn't work on the same timeline we do. While we see the struggles as roadblocks, He sees them as stepping stones, each one leading you closer to your destiny. It's through these challenges that your character is built, your strength is tested, and your faith is made unshakable. These difficulties, these obstacles are not detours, they are the very tools that God uses to shape you and prepare you for the greatness that lies ahead. Sometimes the obstacle isn't something external. Sometimes the obstacle is within you: doubt, fear, insecurity. It's those moments when you question your ability, when you feel that you're not enough, or when you feel like you're unworthy of God's blessings. But understand this: God never calls you to something that you cannot handle with His help. He equips you for the journey. When the world tells you to quit, when your own heart feels overwhelmed, that's when you need to rise up and remember that God's plan is bigger than any fear or uncertainty you may feel. His plan for you is not determined by your flaws, your weaknesses, or your past mistakes. It is determined by His purpose for your life, and that purpose is unstoppable. Look back on your life and you'll see that God's hand was in every detail, even when you couldn't recognize it at the time. Every time you faced a setback, you were being prepared for a greater opportunity. Every time you felt lost or alone, God was guiding you towards something better, something greater. The moments of despair were not meant to break you, they were meant to build you, to make you stronger, and to equip you for the blessings that were coming your way. Your journey may not always make sense in the moment, but trust that God is never wasting your time. He is always working behind the scenes, arranging things in your favor and bringing people and opportunities into your life when the time is right. When you trust in God's plan, you learn to embrace every challenge as an opportunity for growth. You learn to see every obstacle as a lesson in disguise and every failure as a stepping stone toward your destiny. You learn that no matter what happens, you are exactly where you are meant to be, and that the plan God has for you is greater than anything you could have imagined. No matter how hard the path may seem, no matter how many obstacles you face, nothing can stop God's plan for your life. His purpose for you is unshakable. And no matter how dark the road may seem, His light will guide you all the way through. Keep moving forward because the best is yet to come. Every journey we undertake in life is filled with twists and turns, moments of doubt, and instances where we wonder if we're on the right path. It's easy to become discouraged, especially when things don't go as planned or when obstacles appear to be too great to overcome. But let me remind you of something incredibly important. Nothing can stop God's plan for you. It doesn't matter how impossible things may seem, how many doors are slammed in your face, or how much the world tells you that you're not good enough. God's plan for your life is already written, and no force in this world can rewrite it. There will be times when you question everything, the direction you're headed, the decisions you've made, and the dreams you've pursued. It's in those moments of doubt that you must hold on to the truth that God is always in control, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. The challenges you face are not there to destroy you, but to refine you. They are part of the process, part of the journey, and necessary for the person you are becoming. God doesn't waste any experience. Every trial, every hardship, and every setback has purpose. They shape you into the person you are meant to be, and they bring you closer to the life He has planned for you. It's easy to think that if things aren't going according to plan, something has gone wrong. But in truth, God's plan doesn't always look like our plan. Sometimes the detours and delays are exactly what you need to grow. They may lead you to a new opportunity, open doors to greater understanding, or teach you valuable lessons you couldn't have learned otherwise. The things that seem like interruptions or setbacks are often God's way of protecting you, guiding you, and preparing you for what's to come. When things get tough, when you feel like you can't take another step, remember that God is not only with you, but He is working through you. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to strengthen your faith, to trust in God's plan even more. It's in those difficult moments that you learn how resilient and strong you truly are. And more importantly, you learn that God never abandons you. Even when you feel alone or uncertain, He is there, walking with you, leading you through the darkness, and guiding you toward the light. His plan for you has already been set in motion, and no matter what you face, you will never be alone in the journey. You might not see the whole picture yet, and that's okay. Life is not meant to be figured out all at once. It's a process, and it's a process that God knows inside and out. He sees the beginning, the middle, and the end of your story, and He is walking with you through every chapter. The dreams you have, the desires that burn in your heart, are not there by accident. They are part of God's plan for you. And though the road may be rocky and filled with obstacles, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stand in the way of His will for your life. Keep pushing forward, keep trusting, and know that you are exactly where you need to be. No challenge, no setback, no obstacle can stop what God has planned for you. You are unstoppable with Him on your side. There are moments in life when everything seems to be falling apart, when you feel like you've given your best effort and yet the doors remain closed. It's during these times of struggle and uncertainty that you may question your purpose and wonder if the dreams you've held onto for so long are even possible. But let me tell you something that you need to remember deeply: nothing, absolutely nothing, can stop God's plan for your life. No matter how difficult things get, no matter how many obstacles seem to stand in your way, God's purpose for you will always prevail. It's easy to get distracted by the difficulties you face, especially when they seem insurmountable. When life throws challenges your way, it often feels as if those challenges are meant to break you, to stop you from moving forward. But what you might not see in the moment is that these very obstacles are being used to prepare you for what lies ahead. Each challenge you encounter serves a greater purpose, and each one is part of God's divine plan for your life. Even when you can't understand why you're going through something, know that God is working in ways you can't see, aligning circumstances and opening doors at the perfect time. Your job is to trust the process, even when it feels like everything is going wrong. One of the hardest things to do is trust when you don't see the full picture. You might feel stuck in a season of waiting, wondering why things aren't moving forward. But it's during these times that you must lean into your faith and trust that God is in control. There is no obstacle so big that it can hinder His plan for your life. If God has placed a vision in your heart, that vision will come to pass. But it will come in His time, not yours. And that's something you have to embrace with everything in you. His timing is always perfect, and His plan is always better than anything you could have imagined for yourself. You may encounter moments of doubt, but when those moments arise, remind yourself of the truth: God's plan is unstoppable. Every setback, every disappointment, and every trial is part of the bigger picture He is creating for you. It's easy to focus on what isn't happening, but you must shift your perspective to see what God is doing behind the scenes. Even when things seem impossible, He is preparing you for greatness. Every moment of struggle is refining you, making you stronger, and getting you ready for the blessing that is coming your way. It's easy to become discouraged when you feel like the world is against you, when nothing seems to go right, and when you wonder if your dreams are too big or too far out of reach. But God never gives you a dream without the means to achieve it. The vision He has for your life is powerful, and it will come to fruition no matter what. The obstacles you face are not there to defeat you. They are there to build your character, to strengthen your resolve, and to prepare you for the success that is destined for you. God's plan for your life is greater than anything you can imagine. When you face challenges, it's a reminder that you are on the right path, that your destiny is unfolding exactly as it should. No matter how tough it gets, know that nothing can stop what God has already set in motion for you. Keep moving forward, keep trusting, and keep believing because His plan will always prevail. There are times in life when you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle, where every step forward feels like a struggle. When you face challenges that seem insurmountable, it's easy to feel like everything is working against you. But in those moments, you need to remember one powerful truth: nothing can stop God's plan for your life. No matter how difficult things seem, no matter how many setbacks you face, God's purpose for you is unstoppable. You might not see it now, but every challenge, every hardship is a part of a much bigger picture that God is painting for you. We often become discouraged when things don't go the way we expect. We make plans, set goals, and pray for specific outcomes, but when things don't work out the way we envisioned, it can feel like all hope is lost. But the thing is, God's plan is always greater than our own. The setbacks you face are often a way of preparing you for something far better than what you could have imagined for yourself. Sometimes you have to go through certain experiences to grow, to develop the strength, patience, and resilience that will serve you in the future. Every obstacle is an opportunity for growth, even if you can't see it at the time. When you're in the middle of a struggle, it can be hard to see the purpose behind it. It's easy to get caught up in the frustration and the pain, thinking that things will never get better. But that's when your faith needs to rise. Trust that God knows what He is doing. His timing is always perfect, even if it doesn't align with your own. The delays and detours in your life aren't signs that God has forgotten you or that His plan for you has been derailed. They're simply part of the journey. Just because you can't see what's ahead doesn't mean that God isn't working behind the scenes, orchestrating the events of your life to bring you closer to your purpose. In the face of challenges, it's natural to feel like giving up. You may question whether it's worth continuing, especially when you're tired, worn out, or frustrated. But when you trust in God's plan, you realize that the journey is just as important as the destination. The strength you gain from enduring these difficulties is invaluable. You become more than just a survivor. You become someone who can handle whatever life throws your way. And more importantly, you learn to lean on God more deeply, knowing that you don't have to walk through life alone. He is with you every step of the way, guiding you through the tough times and preparing you for the breakthrough that's coming. God's plan for your life is bigger than any momentary setback, bigger than any obstacle, bigger than any challenge. It's easy to get focused on the immediate problems you face, but when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, you begin to understand that God is always working in your favor. His plan is greater than your understanding, and when you trust in it, you align yourself with something unstoppable. The struggles you face today are shaping you into the person you need to be for the success that is waiting for you. When you truly believe that God's plan cannot be stopped, you find the courage to push through even the hardest times, knowing that nothing can derail what He has in store for you.